Helen and Dylan go to the movies. Can you spot anything odd in this place? There's a spider hiding in this guy's popcorn. This lady has a working camera, which is not allowed in the movies. The seats are numbered in a random order in this row, and there's a monster hiding behind the seats. Can you spot a criminal among these two truck drivers? The second guy is just shipping tomatoes, but someone scrawled the word help on the window of the first truck. Therefore, the first driver is the criminal. Can you guess which driver is more dangerous? The second one. Who uses such weird decor for his car? Breaking news! Someone stole exclusive diamond shoes from the local museum. Many people visited the exhibition that day, but the criminal had left no clue. The police arrive at the crime scene. Detective Smith checks the camera records and spots the thief right away. What about you? Something about this lady is very suspicious. Her height increases in the second footage. This probably means that she's wearing the stolen diamond shoes. Kelly throws a pajama party, but one of her guests is a criminal. Can you guess who? This lady is a thief.
Oh, no.
She hid the stolen items inside a pillow. Let's check how eagle-eyed you are. Can you spot 3 differences between these two pictures? Here they are.
Yes!
What about these pictures? Are they identical? Nope, there are 3 differences. Can you see 3 differences here? Here they are. Great job!
Yes!
Philip runs a publishing house. One day, he gets an anonymous message. His best illustrator, Victor, has a secret relationship with one of his female co-workers. Only 4 ladies work in Philip's farm. Sheila is an SMM manager. She has just returned from the Maldives. It was her honeymoon. Bella is a content manager. She's very shy and lives with 5 dogs. Lily is a part-time writer. She's single and parties all the time. And Kelly is an office manager. She's very ambitious and writes her own book in her spare time. Can you guess Victor's secret crush? Bella! Philip has white dog hair on his jacket, just like Bella. Crystal is a doctor. She arrives at a medical conference and takes several pictures with her colleagues before the event. In an hour, the local janitor finds Crystal unconscious in the storage room. Later, Crystal gets better and tells the police, "I was walking to the toilet. The last thing I remember was someone pushing me from behind. I don't know who did it." Police questioned all the doctors. Everyone claims that they were listening to the report when the attack took place. Officers examine the pictures before the conference and immediately identify the criminal. What about you? Crystal tried to protect herself and tore the string on the criminal's neck.
Oh my god!
So it was this guy with a broken badge. Harold is the richest man in town. This evening, he lost his memory because of a car accident. His only family is his daughter. When Harold wakes up in a hospital, 2 ladies claim to be his daughters. One of them is lying. Can you help Harold identify the real one? There's a photo frame near Harold's bed with a picture of him with his daughter. She has a mole on her cheek, and this lady too. So she's the real daughter. Peter gets lost in a haunted house and finds 3 doors. He needs to choose one of them to escape. There's a cute family of polar bears behind the first door. A couple of hungry, angry wolves are waiting behind the second door, and they haven't been eating for 7 years. And there are hundreds of venomous snakes behind the third door. Which way is more or less safe? The second one. Wolves can't survive without food for so long, so they're not a threat anymore. Mary is heading back home from work through a forest road. Somewhere along the way, she gets lost. She comes across 3 caves. Mary needs to choose one of them to go ahead. There are venomous scorpions inside the first cave. They can't wait to bite Mary. Inside the second cave, there's a tiger that will eat her alive. And inside the third cave, there are man-eating bats. Which cave is more or less safe? If you noticed, the sun is still up. It's daytime and bats are sleeping, so the third cave is the safest option for Mary. Detective Smith gets a task to investigate a robbery. He questions a witness who saw the thief escaping. He says, "In my car's mirror, I saw a masked man driving away in panic, but I wrote down the number of his car." Detective Smith takes the note with the number. Police find 4 cars with similar number plates. Detective Smith carefully examines all 4 cars and figures out which one of them belongs to the robber. How? Since the witness looked at the car number through his mirror, the image was reflected. It means that this was the original car number. Amy lives with her 3 sisters. She's a professional violinist. Her sister always complains that she loves music more than her own family. One day, Amy leaves for the gym, and when she returns home in the evening, she discovers that all her super expensive violins are broken.
Oh, God.
She immediately calls the police. Detective Smith arrives and interrogates everyone. Amy's elder sister, Sarah, says, "I was sleeping the whole time. I don't know anything." Detective Smith asks her what the other sisters were doing at the time. They were both reading books and eating dinner in the living room. Only the younger sister was having fun at a party downtown. Detective Smith immediately realizes who broke the violins. What about you? If Sarah was sleeping, how did she know who was doing what? This implies that she's hiding something. A woman in tears enters Detective Smith's office and asks for his help. She explains, "I was walking down the road when a man approached me from behind, snatched my phone from my hand, and ran away." But Detective Smith suspects 3 people and invites all of them, but everyone says that they didn't steal the lady's phone. Detective Smith checks their phones and immediately understands who did it. Can you guess who snatched the phone? Take a look at the wallpapers. This is the lady's dog, so the first guy stole her phone.
Oh, no.
After a particularly large snowfall, Chuck walks outdoors. He discovers a weird thing. He has half as much snow in his yard as his neighbors, but it seems like Chuck is not surprised at all. Can you guess why? Simple. Chuck's yard is half the size of his neighbor's. Vicky is filming a video blog about this haunted house. Suddenly, she freaks out because this place is full of frogs. How many frogs can you see in this picture? The correct answer is 11. Vicky runs away to the basement and sees a creepy collection of clown masks. How many masks can you spot? This one is not a mask, it's a portrait. Philip is walking down the street. Suddenly, a woman approaches him from behind and sneaks his wallet. She runs away and hides in one of the houses. Philip follows her. The owner of the house is inside. Philip asks him, Has anyone visited you today? The owner replies, Nope, neither have I left the house. I live here alone and work from home. After hearing the owner's words, Philip knows for sure that this guy is a liar.
Oh.
How come? There are 3 cups of hot tea at the table and female sandals standing near the door. So he's probably an accomplice of the thief. The university chancellor enters the auditorium where a lecture about genetic engineering occurs. A young teacher is drawing graphics and diagrams on the whiteboard, and students are redrawing them in their laptops. The chancellor knows that some of these students are not listening to the teacher. He walks around the audience and stands behind all the people. Who do you think is not focused on studying? All students are typing the formulas on their laptops. That girl over there is solving a crossword puzzle on her computer. Detective Richardson is chasing a robber dressed in a clown's outfit. The thief runs into the territory of a big carnival. There are a lot of clowns here. Help find the suspect among them. Catch that guy! His makeup is leaking since he's sweating after running. Also, he is the only one among all the clowns who took off the red nose, since he needs to take a deep breath. Angelica gets out of the elevator and goes to her room. She puts a magnetic card to the lock to open the door. Then, she turns on a kettle and a TV. At this moment, the phone rings. Angelica picks it up.
Hello, it's your neighbor from the opposite apartment. I'm looking at someone trying to break into your house right now.
A voice on the other end of the line says,
He's trying to pick your lock with a lockpick.
I'm sorry, it seems you've called the wrong number, Angelica tells him and hangs up. Why did she think that? Her door has a magnetic lock. Howard got stuck on a deserted island after an emergency landing on his biplane. He had no fuel and no means of communication. He spent the last few nights building a raft from bamboo. He also sewed sails from the parachute, and now Howard is sailing away from the shore. At this moment, a storm begins. Waves and strong winds carry the small raft further from land, right into the center of the storm. And then Howard notices a ship. He's screaming for help, but a big wave turns the ship over. There's no chance of salvation. The raft sinks next, and Howard loses consciousness. He wakes up on the island again, surrounded by the ship's wreckage. Howard looks around and starts yelling with happiness. It seems he's saved. Why? There are fuel cans among the wreckage. Howard can refuel his biplane and fly away from this place. There's a secret helicopter hangar hidden among trees at the edge of the forest. A squirrel got stuck on the ceiling between the beams. Johnny, the woodcutter, comes inside and notices the poor animal. He's going to rescue it, but he doesn't know how to get there. There are no stairs or anything that can be used to climb so high. Help him save the squirrel. There's an open vent on the ceiling. Johnny can get to the squirrel through the roof, but how? The hangar is located among the trees. Johnny can climb a tree and jump on the roof. The premiere of some fantastic movie about graffiti culture was held at one local cinema. Some of the viewers liked it so much that they painted the wall of the building. The police caught 3 suspects. But who's guilty? Look at this girl with blue hair. She has paint on her fingers. Leo, Brad, and Chris walk in the park and tell each other how they spent the weekend. All the guys look rich and successful, but in fact, only one of them is wealthy. Look at them carefully and try to guess who. It's Brad. See the advertising banner of a new action movie hanging on a skyscraper in the distance? Brad's face is on it. Linda comes out of the library. She doesn't notice the curb ahead, stumbles over it, and breaks the heel of her shoe. She calls a taxi and goes to the city center. There's a street with many fashionable boutiques. Linda doesn't know which store to go to. The best shoes in town, the sign on the first building says. The best shoes in the country is written on the second boutique. The best shoes on the continent, the sign on a fashion house lights up. The best shoes on the planet is written on the next one. Linda moves on. The best shoes in the solar system. The best shoes in the galaxy. The best shoes in the universe. Then she notices a small shop at the end of the street. Linda chooses that one without hesitation. What was written there? The best shoes on this street. Roy is sitting in the classroom listening to two teachers. They're saying essential mathematical formulas to prepare students for upcoming exams. Roy is writing down their words, but he doesn't keep up with the teachers. His hand hurts more and more. The notebook is running out of pages. The teacher's speech is accelerating. They're saying a lot of new information. Ah! How can Roy remember all of this? Help him! He needs to use the voice recorder on his phone. The plane takes off from the airport. A flight attendant walks through the cabin and sees two passengers arguing. The crew member asks what happened. Jay says that Courtney took his place. Courtney claims that this is her seat. They showed their tickets to the flight attendant. She tells them that the program couldn't sell two identical seats. She takes their boarding passes and immediately understands what the mistake is. Look at the tickets and tell who's right here. Seat 14F is written on both documents. Jay's takeoff time is 2:57 a.m. Courtney's is 2:57 p.m. It was sunny when the plane took off. Also, the sun is shining outside the window, so Jay's got on the wrong flight. Alexis runs at the stadium every day, preparing for an athletics championship. And it starts today. Alexis warms up and notices a skinny guy among other runners. His legs look weak and thin. Is he gonna run? Alexis wonders. All participants get up to the starting position. 3, 2, 1, go! Alexis is running as fast as she can. She's in the lead, and that guy runs much faster and doesn't look tired. He wins. But how did he do it? Alexis realizes he's not a real athlete. He's not even a human. But how did she know that? The guy doesn't sweat, he doesn't blink, and he has two left hands. It's raining. Mike tries to walk fast so as not to freeze. His 3 goats are following him. He comes out to the river and notices a raft on the shore, but it can only withstand 1 goat and 1 human at a time. A tiger is sitting on the other side of the river. Mike can't sail with 1 goat and leave it with the tiger. What should he do to cross the river? There's no need to cross the river this way. Look, there's a bridge far ahead. There's a house right in the middle of the hottest desert. There is no water, trees, or villages around. 4 people live inside the building: the owner and his friends, an archaeologist, an oil worker, and a surveyor. The owner comes to the backyard and sees an empty jug. "Who's drunk all the water? We don't have any supplies anymore," he screams loudly. All the friends are in shock too. "Those who did that should go to the desert and get some water," he says.
"I was excavating in front of the house. I didn't touch the jug,"
the archaeologist replies. "I extracted oil under the house. I didn't touch the water," the oil worker says. "I was wandering through the desert in search of an underground river or lake, but I haven't found anything. There's no point in sending us there. You know, I think you've drunk it," the surveyor answers. "What do you think? Who's guilty?" Nobody. The jug was outside. The hot sand and the scorching sun dried it up. Dr. Phil works in a laboratory for the study of microorganisms. He's sitting in his office, reading a new scientific article. At this moment, someone knocks on the door. It's a young laboratory assistant. He looks scared and says he's met a real monster. "It has several mouths, long tentacles, and one claw," the guy says. He locked it in the lab. Dr. Phil goes there to see it with his eyes. He turns the key in the lock. The door is opening slowly with a cracking sound. The doctor steps inside and... nothing. There's complete silence here. There's no monster. Or is there? Where do you think it is? The monster is microscopic, sitting in the test tube. This is a laboratory for the study of microorganisms, remember? One old head of a large financial company is going to retire, but who will be his heir? Who will be able to manage such a huge corporation? He's calling an emergency meeting. All employees gather in the conference room. The boss gives $100 to each of them.
"That's all I had when I arrived in this city for the first time. But I used this money wisely and became rich," he says. "Who can use this banknote best of all will get the head position in the company. You have 2 weeks."
At the appointed time, all the employees return to the conference room. Someone invested the money in startups. Someone bought shares from other companies. One guy just spent the $100 in a restaurant. Some smart people earned thousands of dollars. There were many worthy candidates, but none of them became the head of the company. Why? The reason is not related to money. The old boss passed away. Like every morning, Daphne went to her favorite local cafe to get her coffee and breakfast sandwich. She left the cafe after she'd paid. A few minutes later, she returned, looking anxious, because she had forgotten her wallet. Strangely, it was nowhere to be found. She called the police to report the incident. Nobody had left the store, so the thief was still there when the officer arrived. He started questioning everyone. Jenny, the cashier, said that Daphne was a regular customer and she had known her for a long time. So, she would never steal her wallet, and she didn't see it after Daphne had paid. Andre was a tourist visiting the city for the first time. He said he'd come to the cafe because he'd wanted to try their famous muffins. She claimed he hadn't seen the wallet. He was busy trying to pick what type of muffin he should get at the time. And Harry worked as a store clerk. He said that he'd come there to grab a coffee, and he didn't see the wallet because he was pouring milk into his coffee. So who do you think stole the wallet? It was Harry, the store clerk, or should I say Harold. Do you see his name tag? He lied about his name when he ordered his drink. Also, even though he said he was pouring milk in his coffee, as you can see, it doesn't have any milk in it. Jessica was an aspiring actor, and she had a big musical theater audition that day. She left her house early in the morning to make it on time, but she had forgotten to take her sheet music with her, so she had to drive back. When she walked in, though, she saw her roommate lying on the floor unconscious. A nurse was standing beside her. She explained to Jessica that her roommate had been poisoned, but luckily, she'd had enough time to call an ambulance before she passed out. Jessica immediately realized something was wrong. She thanked the nurse for helping her friend and asked her if she could get her a glass of water or anything else. The nurse agreed, and Jessica hurried to the kitchen. There, she called the police saying, "There's a fake nurse in my house. She poisoned my roommate and tried to rob her." How did Jessica understand that? When she arrived at the house, there was no ambulance car in the driveway or in the street. And it's not like paramedics started using Uber. And you might have also noticed that the paramedic bag the nurse was holding was slightly open, and Jessica's roommate's jewelry was dangling out of it. Anna and Catherine are both influencers, but take a look at the latest photos they posted. Which of these ladies do you think is richer? Catherine is richer, of course. Just look at the number of likes on her photo. She has 27,907 likes. Anna, on the other hand, has 9,837, which means that Catherine has way more followers and must be earning millions. Annie managed to buy presents for everyone except her dad. She knew what everyone wanted, but her dad was kind of secretive and not the talking type. He was also not great with technology and never bought anything online, so there was no way she could sneak into her dad's computer and check the saved items in his shopping cart. But he always liked to make lists in his little notebook, and Annie was sure she might be able to find a wish list there. So she sneaked into her father's office one day to look for the notebook. It was nowhere to be found, but his study table had a locked drawer. She looked for the key around the room but couldn't find it anywhere. That's when 2 different sticky notes attached to 2 different books inside the bookcase caught her eye. The first note was attached to a psychology book and had P5487TH written on it. The second note was attached to a detective novel and said P21320TH. Annie immediately knew what the notes meant. Can you guess what she had to do? She had to open to page 548 in the first book and find the 7th word on this page. Then, she had to open page 213 in the second book and find the 20th word on that page. The words she found were under and desk. The girl immediately looked under the desk and found the drawer key taped to it. James was walking back to his apartment from work late at night. Suddenly, he was hit on the head and taken away. When he woke up, he found himself in a small room. He tried to escape, but the door was locked with a padlock. James tried to look for the key, but there was nothing in there but a window with strange-looking metal bars. Suddenly, he noticed something. It helped him to find the key. Do you see it too? One of the metal bars is different from the others. That one is the key. Giselle was camping in the forest during a night when the moon was full. After midnight, when she was making s'mores by a fire, she heard a loud howl. There was a werewolf in the forest, and it managed to find Giselle's tent because it smelled of food there. Thankfully, Giselle was not in her tent anymore when the werewolf arrived because she had already run away. Hiding behind a tree, she watched the creature eat her s'mores and tear up the tent. When the werewolf left before sunrise, the girl returned to her tent, but everything was ruined. There was no more food or water left. Her cell phone had run out of battery, so she couldn't call anyone. She started wandering through the forest, and soon she came upon a witch's house. When she walked in, she saw the witch and another lady. Giselle asked the witch if she could send her home. The witch agreed to help her on one condition. She would only send Giselle home if she guessed her sister's name. If not, she would turn her into a frog. Giselle knew the answer, but how? Did you notice that the witch's sister is wearing the same necklace around her neck as the werewolf? Well, Giselle did, and there's a name written on the necklace: Abigail. Zoe went to a security guard and reported that her gym bag was missing. She said she'd gone to the ladies' restroom after her dance cardio class. She was fixing her hair when someone came up from behind and pushed her. So she didn't see the person who had taken her bag. The security guard refused to check the footage from the security camera that was outside the restroom. Neither did he file a report. Why? Zoe said she was fixing her hair, so she must have been looking in the mirror. If she was telling the truth about someone sneaking up from behind, she would have definitely seen their reflection. So, Zoe probably lied so that she could sue them. Luckily, the security guard was super smart. Several women went missing in a small town. James Darcy and his police team had been searching for months, but they couldn't find the place where the women were kept. One day, when Sandra was jogging, she decided to use another route to get home. As she was passing an old cabin, she heard screams coming from its basement. She immediately called James Darcy to report it. James and his team arrived at the place and busted in. They found there 3 women. They all said that they had been locked in the basement for months, but James knew one of them was lying. The first woman said that her name was Tammy and that she had spent almost 8 months in the basement. The second woman claimed that her name was Hannah and that she had been there for almost 5 months. The third woman told him that her name was Allison and that she had stayed there for about 3 months. Can you tell who the liar is? Allison is telling the truth. Look at her. Her clothes are dirty. Her hair is greasy. Her roots have started to grow out. She definitely hasn't seen daylight for a long time. The same goes for Hannah. But look at Tammy. She looks clean. Her clothes look new. Her hair and makeup look fresh, so it must be her who is lying. David spent his summer break at a science camp that was at a big space facility. When the summer break ended and school started, he told his friends from the science club all about his camp adventures. He said that at the facility, he had found a secret room. And in there was a time machine. He stepped into it and pressed some buttons to test if it really worked. And it did. He traveled through time and was able to talk to Nikola Tesla, Chuck Berry, and King Aragorn. But one of his friends immediately called him out for lying. How did he know that David made up this whole thing? Well, even if David actually managed to travel through time, he might have been able to talk to Nikola Tesla and Chuck Berry, but definitely not King Aragorn, because he is a fictional character. One famous magician is performing on the stage. He's going to show his most spectacular trick, but unfortunately, only one viewer has come to the show. The magician puts 8 different cards on the table and covers them with a black cloth. He asks the viewer to come closer. Now you'll see 2 rows of 4 cards. I want you to select only one of them, but very quickly. Ready? The magician says. He lifts the cloth for 1 second, then covers the cards again. The viewer has chosen one card. The magician looks at him and whispers, "Now close your eyes. Think about the card. Think of nothing else. I'm going to read your mind now." The spectator closes his eyes. After a few seconds, the magician tells him, "Look at the table. I've removed your card and replaced it with a new one." The guy opens his eyes and it's magic. The magician has indeed removed the card he thought about. But how did he do it? There's no magic here. The magician replaced all the cards on the table with new ones. But the viewer didn't notice this since he was only focused on one card. Johnny is on a deserted island. He walks through the jungle and finds an old treasure chest. But as soon as he touches it, 3 zombie pirates come out from behind the trees.
"We've been protecting this gold for 500 years. You won't take it," one of them says.
Johnny notices that something is wrong with these guys. They seem fake. But why? This pirate is wearing sneakers. See? The second one has a phone in his pocket. And the third pirate has a price tag attached to his saber. A famous courier service hires new staff. To get the job, candidates need to take a package and run a marathon in 3 hours. They easily cope with this task. Then, the boss asks them to swim the distance of the Olympic pool. One of the candidates stops halfway through the distance to take a breath. He drops out of the race. It leaves us with 3 participants. Now they have to pass a test in nuclear physics. Only 2 candidates make no mistakes. The third guy fails. And the last task is to conquer Everest. And here they are, climbing to the top. "Remind me, what salary do they offer?" one of them asks. $20 per hour, the second candidate answers. Finally, they get to the peak and meet the boss there. He looks at them and says, "You both have made it so far, but I'll hire only one of you. Who will get this job?" The first candidate. He's still carrying the package he got before the marathon. Two powerful film producers are having a breakfast in an expensive restaurant. They discuss the budget for a sequel to a very successful movie that got $500 million at the box office. They speak very quietly since they mention important details of the script. They suspect that someone might overhear them. The producers are right. Some curious people are indeed eavesdropping on their conversation. Find them. There's a guy at the table holding a magazine upside down. Obviously, he isn't reading it. He must be listening to the producers. That girl over there is a journalist. There's a camera lens sticking out of her backpack. See? She will post a video, and fans will be able to read the producer's lips. That man is eating a salad, but you can notice a microphone hidden in his long hair. Three people are standing in front of an ice cream cart. The first guy is taking a cone from the seller. The guy behind him is nervous. His hands are in his pockets. The third guy is looking at something through binoculars. Which of them is a police officer? Look at the first guy. He's got a police radio in his pocket. "Where's my money?" the owner of a diner screams. It's 30 minutes till the end of the working day, but there's no money in the cash register. 3 employees have been working today, but they swear they haven't touched the money. They say there have been no clients in the diner. The boss doesn't believe them. He studies the employees, trying to figure out who's the thief. Linda is wearing a pair of sunglasses, jeans, and a stylish t-shirt. She also has an expensive phone. Michael is dressed in costly designer clothes. Sarah is wearing a regular jacket and a long skirt. Who do you think has stolen the money? They're all telling the truth. Look at the sign on the door. Open, it says. This means people passing by the diner see the closed sign. The employees forget to turn it over, and that's why there have been no clients. Michael is walking down a long road. He's sweaty, hungry, and thirsty. There are no cars around, and his phone isn't working. Michael takes a few more steps and sits down on the road. He can't walk anymore. At this moment, he hears a vehicle approaching. A big bus appears on the road. It stops by Michael. Its doors open, but Michael doesn't get inside. He notices a car and a motorbike approaching. They stop by him too. All the drivers offer to give Michael a ride. What should he choose? The bus seems normal, but one of its tires is flat. The trip won't last long. Look at the biker. His face is hidden by a helmet, but he has hooves instead of feet. Mike chooses the car. One video blogger has been walking across a desert for several hours. The guy has no water left, and he's losing strength, but his camera battery is fully charged. He climbs a small hill and sees 3 lakes, but not all of them are real. Help the blogger to identify illusions. He has a video camera. He should film the lakes. Mirages can't be recorded. A biker is traveling along a country road when he hears a scream. A woman is calling for help. She seems to be in the forest. The biker drives in her direction and sees 3 girls among trees. They're all begging to save them from a vampire. "But which of you is the vampire?" the man asks. "It's her," the girl screams and points at one another. How can the biker find out who is human? There are 2 side mirrors on the motorcycle. The biker needs to turn the handlebars to check which girl has a reflection. Martin likes visiting abandoned factories and other buildings. Today he's going to check a huge deserted shopping mall located on a remote island. According to some legends, the Minotaur lives inside the building. The creature looks like a human with a bull's head. Of course, Martin doesn't believe that. He takes a flashlight, a warm blanket, and a night vision camera. It's dark and cold inside. Martin hears a strange noise coming from the corridor. He shines a flashlight and sees the Minotaur. The monster looks angry. It aims its horns at Martin. What should the guy do? Faster! The bull is about to attack! Remember that blanket that Martin took with him? The guy should throw it at the monster's muzzle to confuse the creature and escape. Michelle is in front of a locked door. An axe, a hammer, and a drill, and several other tools lie nearby. The girl tries to break down the door with the axe, but the door is metallic. Then, she tries to knock the door out with the hammer, and again, no result.
Don't try to force it open. There's an easier way,
a creepy voice says. Michelle tries to open the door by turning the handle, but it doesn't work either. What else can she do? Michelle should knock on the door. Starry sky, fresh cool air, endless dunes, a small campfire, and a tent. This place is a fairy tale. Sarah has always wanted to spend a night in a desert. She takes pictures of the stars, drinks hot tea from a thermos, and enjoys life. It's a perfect night. Too perfect. A smile disappears from Sarah's face. Everything is not real. Two signs indicate that Sarah is sleeping right now. What are these signs? Two moons are shining in the sky. A sea crab is looking at Sarah from the sand. But it's scorpions that usually live in deserts, not sea crabs. Mary opens her eyes and realizes that she's in an unknown place. The last thing she remembers is walking in the park, and then darkness. There's a lot of trash in the room. A red lamp is flashing from the ceiling. Something must have happened here. Mary can leave through the door. It's open. But wait, she needs to take some useful stuff from the room. But what? She can only choose 2 items. Which ones? Mary needs to get scuba gear and a mask. Look at that small window. Fish are swimming by. Mary is underwater. Alex returns to his top-floor apartment after a workout at the gym. He turns on his stove to cook some soup. When he's having lunch, someone knocks on the door. These are water utility workers. They say that the ceiling in Alex's apartment is about to collapse because his neighbors forgot to turn off a faucet. And now they're flooding the building. They ask the guy to evacuate immediately. Alex closes the door and calls the police. He's sure those two are thieves. How has Alex figured that out? He lives on the top floor. No one can flood him. Well, you've tried to get into the secret supernatural service your whole life. Now there's just one step left to reach that goal. You need to pass an exam to prove you can handle the supernatural and paranormal. Keep track of how many answers you get right. Your results await at the end. A helicopter leaves you on the shore. Your mission? Get to the other side of the island where the lifeboat will arrive for you. Seems easy enough on an island this small, but here's the catch. A few people and a lot of supernatural monsters are the only inhabitants of this island. You see 3 roads with signs near each of them. The first leads to vampires. The second road takes you to zombies. The third one leads to alligators. Which road do you choose? You have 10 seconds to decide. Choose the road to alligators. As I said, only people and monsters live on the island. No real-world creatures here. You take the third road and end up in a huge meadow. The scorching sun is beating down on you, and you want to find some shade. Fortunately, you see 2 houses ahead. The first looks very old and decrepit. The windows are broken. It's missing most of its shutters, and it looks like the whole thing could collapse at any minute. The second house looks brand new, sturdy, clean, but you notice it doesn't have any windows at all. Where will you go? 10 seconds on the clock. On this strange island, the second house without windows is a sure sign that the inhabitant is afraid of sunlight. You don't want to land in the trap of vampires. You choose the first house. You find yourself in a large room. Everything's covered in cobwebs. A thick layer of dust coats the furniture, and the floor is creaky. You find a can on the table. All it says is antidote. You're sure this could be useful, so you put it in your pocket. You also find a bunch of keys and go to the far end of the room. There are 3 doors before you. The first door has several locks on it, but the keys you found will open them. The second door clearly says werewolf inside. There are no signs on the third door, and it looks inviting, clean, and cobweb free. Which door do you choose? Your 10 seconds starts now. The locks on the first door mean there must be someone or something kept inside that shouldn't be let out. Better not open it. If the third door has no webs or dust on it, then someone must use it regularly. It's likely the werewolf lives there. So you choose the second door. The exit leads you to a park with trees and shrubs. It's strange how quaint it looks for a place like this. You see a group of 7 people ahead. They also look totally normal, but as soon as you come closer, you notice there's definitely something off about a few of them. They're zombies. How can you identify them? Careful, they might spot you. You have only 7 seconds now. The right answer is 3. The guy is trying to find his eyes that fell out. The girl on the bench is eating ice cream with body parts in it. And this man doesn't even notice the dog biting his leg. You're afraid of zombies as much as the next guy. But the really scary thing is those people standing nonchalantly nearby. Anyway, you discreetly pass by this strange crew and eventually come to a mountain. You climb to the top and enjoy the view of a beautiful sunset. To move on, you need to cross one of the 2 bridges. Strangers are standing at the other end of each one. You're sure one of them is a werewolf. But who is it? How can you tell? Looks like those zombies caught your scent. Hurry, you only have 7 seconds. You've watched the sunset, which means it'll get dark soon. Tonight is a full moon, so you'll be able to see which of these people will turn into a werewolf. You've crossed the safe bridge. It's nighttime, but the bright full moon illuminates the path for you. You see a huge castle ahead. You're sure ghosts live there, but you don't care. It's better to face ghosts than stay outside with all these other creatures. You enter the castle and find yourself at a ball. 8 people with masks are dancing. You realize this is a test of your attentiveness. How many of these people are ghosts? 7 seconds until you're spotted. That lady is dancing, but her feet aren't touching the floor. She's floating. Everyone is wearing modern dresses and costumes. But that couple over there is dressed as if they're from the Victorian era. Ghosts can't change clothes, right? You've spotted 3 ghosts, and you decide not to interfere with their dance. Gotta keep moving on. You come to another room. You see a huge table with a buffet of food. Fried chicken, French fries, pizza, vegetables, fruit, soda, mouth-watering desserts and pastries. 8 people are sitting at the table. You've worked up quite an appetite by now and consider having a bite. But intuition tells you something is wrong here. You realize these are all vampires. But how did you know? You better decide in 5 seconds. Why is all the food on the table untouched? Does anyone in this room really want to eat? Oh, they definitely want to dine, but not on ordinary food. They want your blood. Hurry, run! You book it out of there, but the vampires pursue you. To be saved, you need to choose one of 3 rooms along the way. There's a huge fire in the first room. A pit with sharp spears at the bottom awaits you in the second. The third room is filled with poisonous gas. Which one will you choose? Hurry, they'll be here in 5 seconds. The correct answer is the room with the gas. If you breathe in the poisonous stuff, the vampires won't drink your toxic blood. But how will you save yourself? Oh, that's right. Earlier, you found an antidote. You drink it, fully recover, and leave the mansion. You go through the jungle and finally find the shore. Perfect, you've reached your goal. That's when your joy is cut short by the sight of 3 people flailing out in the water. Help! We can't swim! You're about to dive in the water to save them, but your intuition tells you something's fishy here. 2 of them are sea monsters trying to lure you into a trap. But which ones? You only have 5 seconds to save the real person. One of them has webbed fingers, and that one's gills are visible. But that guy over there still needs your help. So you save him and head back to the shore. You make a fire to keep warm. That's when a bright beam of light shines on you from the sky. It's the helicopter here to pick you up after the test. Hooray! It throws a rope ladder down. You start to approach it, but then you realize something's not right. Do you climb up or do you trust your instincts? You better decide in 5 seconds. Helicopter? A lifeboat was supposed to arrive for you, remember? You don't board the helicopter, but unfortunately, your new friend did. The chopper quickly darts away into the stars. Yes, it was a UFO. That's when the lifeboat arrives. Congrats, you made it off the island. But is your score enough to pass the test? 0 to 3 points. You'd have a rough time lasting in the secret supernatural service. You need to train your attention to detail and decision-making skills. Don't worry, you'll get better with practice. 4 to 7 points. You're quite smart and resourceful, but you'll still have some fine-tuning to do in the service. Even if you're usually good at decision-making and not succumbing to panic, one slip-up could cost you. 8 to 10 points. You passed with flying colors. The Secret Supernatural Service will be honored to have such a survival expert among their ranks. Nice job, but don't get too overconfident. You still need to stay on high alert in this field. Henry and Mia lived together in New York. They wanted to run away from big city life and celebrate their anniversary in the wild. So the guys used a special online service and found 3 available options nearby. Bob offered his cozy treehouse in the woods for a reasonable price. Julia offered this fancy geodesic dome with all conveniences. It's a 2-hour drive away from New York. And Crystal offered an old mansion that she'd inherited from her granny. Can you help the guys make the right choice? Take a closer look at the picture of the dome. It's located near the Leaning Tower of Pisa, which means this property is in Italy, and it can't be 2 hours away from New York. And Crystal's granny's ghost is still in the house, so Mia and Henry should choose the treehouse. The guys contacted Bob, booked the house, and hit the road. Mia is a famous blogger, so she decided to post all milestones of their journey in her stories. Can you spot any differences between these 2 pictures? Here they are. What about these two pictures? There are 3 differences. What can you say about these two? Can you see 3 differences? Here they are. While the guys were driving along a highway, someone threw a can of paint into their car. Mia and Henry stopped at the nearest car wash and interviewed 4 other drivers. Bill said,
My truck has to be perfect. I'm going on a date this evening.
Jack said, I'm going to meet my business partner at the airport. I want to leave a good impression. Lily said, Honestly, I don't need to have my car washed. I just stopped here to visit the restroom. Ryan said, My boss gave me this coupon so that I could wash my car for free. Who stained Henry and Mia's car? Lily. Her right hand is stained with the paint of the same color, and besides, she has a print of Mia's face on her t-shirt. She's definitely obsessed with her. The guys washed their car and continued on their journey. They had to choose one of these 3 roads to reach their destination. The first one went through toxic swamps. People often get lost in that area. The second path went near a river with creepy sirens. Their singing made everyone jump into the water. And a band of angry robbers was waiting on the third road. Which way should the guys opt for? The second one. They can close all the windows, turn some music on, and drive past the sirens very fast. Mia suggested visiting the farmer's market to buy some fresh produce for their romantic weekend. When they entered the marketplace, 3 sellers offered them apples, but only one deal was safe enough. Can you help the guys make the right choice? Seller number 1 offers very old apples. Take a look at the date on the box. They expired 5 years ago. Seller number 3 offers very beautiful apples. But pay attention to his assistant. She's putting shoe polish on the apples to make them look better. So, Mia and Henry should pick the second seller. Henry and Mia left the market and put all their purchases into the car. Suddenly, Henry realized that he'd left a bag with cabbage at the farmer's stall. He returned but couldn't find the bag. Henry questioned 3 people he saw nearby. Vera said, I only eat fruit, mister. See, I've got bananas and apples. Bella said, Yes, I saw your bag. The seller put the cabbage back on the shelf. And the seller said, I don't know what's going on here. I spent the last 10 minutes in the bathroom. Who's lying? Vera. She hid the cabbage under her elegant hat. Finally, the guys reached their destination. The treehouse is even better than in the photo, but can you spot anything weird in this picture? This raccoon is wearing sunglasses. The owner of the treehouse, Bob, lives in another country, and the house is located 15 miles away from the village and other people. That's why Bob installed a special digital clock on the door. When Henry booked the property, Bob gave him a 6-digit password. But unfortunately, Henry had lost it. Here's a hint. M80. Can you help the guy crack the code? These symbols are mirrored digits. Split them apart and you'll get the code 1133CC. The guys unlocked the door. But as soon as Mia entered the living room, she got very scared. She asked Henry to call the police. Why? The treehouse is in the middle of nowhere. Who lit the candles and the fire? The house was locked. Henry checked all the rooms, but found no clues. What about you? Any ideas who that could be? That roof window is open. Someone crawled inside the house before the guy's arrival, and now that someone is hiding under the bed. See? The guys called the police. Officers promised to arrive within an hour. Mia decided to take a shower. When she returned to the living room, she realized that Henry had disappeared. Mia searched the garden, then checked all the rooms in the house, and returned to the garden again. But she failed to find any clues. Can you help her? The hot tub was open when Mia began her search, but now it's closed. Pretty suspicious. Mia was walking through the garden. Suddenly, a man in a mask popped out of nowhere and pushed her. Mia stepped on a trap and fell into a deep well. She yelled, "Please help me out!" No one answered, but Mia's phone pinged. The masked man offered her to play a game. Otherwise, she'd have to stay in the well forever. Here's the first riddle. I come in many different colors, and I get bigger when I'm full. I will float away if you don't tie me down, and I will make a loud sound if I break. What am I? Mia nailed it immediately. What about you? The correct answer is a balloon. Here's the second question. I can jump and I can climb. With many legs, I swing from tree to tree. I can make a house much bigger than me. What am I? Have you guessed? It's a spider. And the final question. I come out at night without being called. I'm lost in the day without being stolen. What am I? Can you help Mia? The correct answer is a star. A hatch opened at the bottom of the well. Mia went through it and got into a creepy basement. There, she found 3 ways to freedom, but every door hid some danger. A fire-breathing dragon was sleeping behind the first door. The corridor behind the second door was filled with high-voltage wires. And a vampire was waiting behind the third door. Suddenly, a message appeared on the screen of the girl's phone. Hurry up! Soon the walls will close in and smash you. Which way should Mia choose? She should wait until the walls are close enough so that she can scare the vampires away with this stake and go through the third door. When the police arrived at the treehouse, they found Mia and Henry at the porch. Henry had just woken up. The robbers had put sleeping pills in his coffee. The officers searched the area and found some clues. They concluded that the criminals were planning to leave the country by train. Unfortunately, no one knew what they looked like or how big the group was, so they stopped 4 suspicious people at the railway station and examined their baggage. Can you figure out who's innocent? Why would a bald man need shampoo? And this supposedly blind person has a flashlight. This guy is carrying 3 tubes of toothpaste, but no single toothbrush. It seems that only the third guy isn't a criminal. 3 friends lived not far from one another and often met to drink some coffee together. Their names were Mr. Blue, Mr. Red, and Mr. White. One day, they noticed that under their coats, they were wearing t-shirts of different colors: red, blue, and white. Mr. Blue said, "Hey, Mr. White, have you noticed that we're all wearing colors that are different from our actual names?" The man wearing the white shirt answered, "Wow, you're right." Can you figure out the shirt of which color each of them was wearing? Mr. Blue can only be wearing white or red, but we've already learned that someone else is wearing the white shirt. That means that Mr. Blue can only be wearing the red shirt, and Mr. White can only be wearing a blue or red shirt. And the red shirt is already taken, so Mr. White is wearing the blue shirt. Then Mr. Red is wearing the white shirt. Mia and Henry decided to spend the night in a hotel nearby. The manager said that they only had 3 free rooms. Can you help the guys choose the best option? This room doesn't have any doors. That's weird. And this room has a cracked mirror on the ceiling. It's too risky. The second option looks pretty safe and nice. The guys checked in, and Henry asked Mia, "Well, where do you want to go now?" She answered with this riddle. "You used to visit me when you needed to know, but I've been lonely since the internet was born. What am I?" Have you guessed? The correct answer is a library. In the library, the guys met these 4 students. One of them is broke. Can you guess who? Student number 3. Her uniform is too large for her body. It must have belonged to her sister. I have some more riddles for you today. Let's start with the easy ones for a warm-up. Can you find the odd one out? Yep, here it is. Here's another one. Find an odd one out here then. Perfect, here it is. How about this one? Right here. Did you find it? And it's getting harder. What about the odd one out here? Look, it's this one. All the other hands are the right ones, and this one is the only left hand. Now I'll show you 2 pictures. Your task is to find 5 differences between them. Ready? Here they are. How many did you spot? Let's do it one more time. Find 5 differences here. Keep your eyes wide open. So did you manage to do it? I think you're now prepared for more hardcore tasks. Let's start with decoding. Detective Callum has been searching for a missing girl, Riley, for 3 weeks. He was in his office going through the case for the 100th time when he got an anonymous email saying, "Can you guess what's written here?" It's just written in reverse order. If you read it from right to left, the message turns into, "The girl is in a hidden room beneath the Central Cafe. Bring $500 and I will tell you the passcode." Someone robbed a bank, and Detective Callum was leading the investigation. There were 2 robbers, but the police managed to catch only one of them, Dante. Dante refused to name his accomplice, but the police had 3 suspects, Bree, Ivory, and Ronan. Detective Callum took a brief look at them and knew exactly who the second robber was. Who was it, and how did he know? It's Ivory. Look, she has the exact same tattoo on her wrist as Dante. Holland went to work and asked her boyfriend, Kyler, to walk the dog. Kyler agreed, but then his friend called him and suggested to come over to play a new video game. So, Kyler decided to skip the dog walk and went straight to his friends. Holland and he met right outside the house when they were both going back home. Kyler said that he'd walked the dog and then went to play with his friend. But Holland knew that he was lying. how. It's winter, so just look at the footprints. There are Holland's footprints on the snow going both ways, and Kyler's footprints going both ways too, but there are no footprints of the dog. Someone in a little town was stealing bicycles. Every time someone's bike was stolen, the owner would find a business card with 2 emojis printed on it. The police had 3 main suspects: Ocean Walker, Rebecca Smith, and Damian Jones. Who is the robber? The emojis signify the name. They are a wave and a person walking, so the robber must be Mr. Ocean Walker. On Wednesday, after a break, Nash came to his desk and found a short love note written in red ink. It wasn't signed, but Nash had 3 girls in mind, so he asked each of them if she had written him the note. Layla said that she'd been chatting with her friends and didn't write any notes. Dawn said that she was busy all break finishing her homework. Oakley said that she had been in the bathroom and had just come back. Who do you think wrote the note? Look, Oakley's hands are covered in ink. It's blue ink, but still. If she really was in the bathroom, her hands would be clean. So she must be lying, and she must be the one who wrote that note. Adley was kidnapped and woke up in a dungeon. There were 3 ways out, but they all looked dangerous. Behind one door, there were many little robots that were ready to attack her. Behind the second door, there were 3 trained tigers. Behind the third door, there were 3 big and very hungry dogs. Which way should Adley choose to get out safely? The best choice must be the first door. Although they're robots, they're still super small and probably can't cause her much harm. Right before a restaurant was about to open, someone had stolen all the money from the cashier's desk. A cook said that he was working in the kitchen and didn't have any free time. The security guy said that he was in the bathroom and didn't see anything. The waiter said that there was a suspicious visitor peeking around. Who do you think stole the money? The restaurant was still closed and there couldn't be any visitors, so the waiter must have lied and is probably guilty. Ned works in a club, and his job is to check people's ID cards and not to let suspicious people or folks under 21 in. Take a look at ID cards and help him decide if he can let each visitor in or not. Here's the first one. What do you think? She seems fine. Let her in. Okay, here's the next visitor. What do you say? June 31st does not exist. There are just 30 days in June, so nope. What about this guy? Something is wrong once again. Even though February 29th theoretically exists, there was no February 29th in 1977. It's every year that can be divided by 4. Okay, what do you think about this girl? I don't see anything suspicious about her. Here's another candidate for the club. What do you think? Well, he is 22, and he seems fine to me. Let him in. A student was having an oral chemistry exam and was struggling with his last task. His professor decided to help him and have some fun, so he said that instead of the task, the student could guess his daughter's name. He only had one guess, but there was a hint. He wrote down several numbers: 32, 10, 14, 16. What's the professor's daughter's name? It's a chemistry class and chemistry professor, so there must be something related to chemistry. Look, there's even a periodic table in the background to help you. The 32nd element is germanium, or Ge, and the 10th one is neon, or Ne, and the 14th one is silicon, or Si, and finally, the 16th element is sulfur, or S. Together, they form the name Genesis. A bank was robbed, but they couldn't find the robber. A week later, at night, Detective Callum woke up from a call from a local shop's owner. He said that he found the money under his terrace. Detective Callum arrived, but there was only half of the money stolen. The man said that he had seen a man by his shop a week ago. It was a full moon, so he could see that the man had red hair and was wearing a dark hoodie. Still, the shop owner was arrested. Why? The shop owner said it was a full moon a week ago, but look, it's a full moon right now, so the man must be lying about something. In history class, students were asked to prepare a presentation about their ancestors. Edwin told about his great-great-grandpa who moved to New York and started as a salesman and then built a huge business. He even showed a photograph of his young grandpa in New York, but no one believed Edwin's story. Why? Even though the picture is black and white and looks old, old New York looks very much like modern New York, with dozens of skyscrapers. The class noticed and figured out that it definitely wasn't a real photo. Royce called the police and reported that someone had robbed his house. Detective Callum arrived and asked Royce to tell exactly what happened. Royce said that he had walked into his room and saw someone getting out of the window. It was still open because Royce didn't care to close it or touch anything before the police arrived. He checked his wardrobe and found that his savings had been stolen. Detective Callum closed the case. Why? The robber couldn't go out the window without stepping on the bed, but the bed is perfectly made, so it looks like no one was leaving through the window. Kaya was studying in the library. She went to the bathroom and left her things on the desk. When she returned, she found that her wallet had been stolen. She called the police and they interrogated the 3 students who were also in the library. Andre said that he had left the library right after Kaya to get a drink from the vending machine and hadn't touched any of her things. Poppy said that she was studying the whole time and not paying attention to anything. Rhea said that she was in the other part of the library looking for a book she needed and hadn't seen anything suspicious either. Who stole the wallet? It was Andre. He said that he had left to get a drink in a vending machine, but look, there's no drinks in the vending machine, only snacks. A young man named Colton was living with his best friend Cassidy. One morning, he called the police because Cassidy wasn't breathing. He said that he'd been working all day and had returned home late, so he hadn't seen her or talked to her for over a day. In the morning, he found her in bed like that. Last night, Cassidy had a headache and had to take many pills, so maybe that was the reason. Colton was immediately arrested. Why? Colton obviously didn't communicate with Cassidy, but he still somehow knew what she was doing in the evening. He must have come up with all of it, as he is probably guilty.
Gemma is a mermaid. No, really. She lives in the Atlantic Ocean with her family and friends. Can you tell who the youngest sister in the family is just by looking at them? Take a look at the granny mermaid. She has plenty of starfish on her tail. It's a hint. Each star symbolizes 1 year of life. That means that the second mermaid is the youngest. Her tail is decorated with 15 starfish, which means she's 15. And 2 other sisters are 18 and 22 years old, respectively. Now one day, Gemma went to a mermaid party, but one of the guests was not a real mermaid. Can you tell who it was? This shark over there is not a mermaid. Gemma's mother, Fiona, owns a cute one-story jewelry store for mermaids. She came to her store early in the morning and found out that the most expensive necklace had been stolen. She called the underwater police. Detective Fisher arrived and questioned Fiona. "I closed the store at 10 p.m. and went home. The pearl necklace was still right there." Detective Fisher identified 3 suspects. The owner of the store next door said, "I closed my door at 8 p.m. and went home right after that." The guard said, "I was on duty last night. Perhaps the thief snuck into the store when I was patrolling another floor." And the cleaning lady said that she'd finished cleaning at 4 p.m. Then she rushed home because her husband was having a birthday party. So, who's lying? The guard. Fiona's shop is a one-story building. He couldn't be on another floor when the necklace was stolen. There's no other floor. Gemma was swimming with dolphins and reached the surface of the ocean. Suddenly, she noticed 2 handsome guys, Nick and Rick, and they were both in trouble. Which guy should Gemma save first? Rick. Although this wooden boat is a bit flooded with water, it's still okay, and Nick can scoop the water out. But this inflatable boat is damaged. Rick will soon find himself in the water, and a shark is nearby. Gemma saved both guys and brought them to the shore. Nick grabbed his phone and took her picture without permission. Gemma asked him to delete the photo because merfolk didn't want people to know about them. Nick said, "Okay, I'll delete the evidence, but first, you gotta crack my riddle. Salty water everywhere, but not sea in sight. What am I talking about?" Can you help Gemma? The correct answer is tears. Rick asked Gemma on a date, and she said yes. She went to a local witch doctor to buy a potion to get human legs for 24 hours. The door to the witch's house was locked, and the note said, "If you want to meet me, find the key first." Can you help Gemma find the key? Here it is. Gemma opened the door with the key and found another door that required a password. There was a note on the door. What has 88 keys but cannot open a single door? Can you help Gemma crack the code? It's a piano. Gemma didn't have any money. The witch offered her this deal.
If you guess my riddle, I'll give you the potion for free. But if you don't crack it, you will be my servant forever. So listen, 2 in a hole and 4 in a pack. 6 in a trio, you see. 8's a quartet, but what you must get is the name that fits just one of me. What am I?
Gemma cracked this riddle right away and got her potion. What about you? The correct answer is half. Gemma got the potion, drank it, and turned into a human. There were 3 routes she could take to get to the meeting point. The first path led through a village inhabited by vampires. The second path is full of toxic flowers that could make her lose her mind. and the third path went through an enchanted forest that blocked all magic and canceled all previous spells. Which way should Gemma choose? The first option is the safest. It's a sunny day and vampires are probably sleeping. Rick and Gemma met at a restaurant called Three Mermaids. But there are only 2 statues of mermaids on the porch. The owner of the cafe, Victor, is well aware of this and could easily fix this. But he doesn't. Why? This is his business strategy. Passers-by notice the mistake, enter the restaurant to inform the owner, and often stay for lunch. Rick is a detective at the police station. During his dinner with Gemma, he received an urgent call from work. Jeff, a country house owner, said that his housekeeper had tried to get rid of him. The night before, the housekeeper gave him an apple for dessert. The man took a bite and passed out. He woke up the next morning and immediately called the police. Rick and Gemma went to the crime scene. The housekeeper denied everything. Gemma didn't know who to believe, but when Rick examined the crime scene, he understood who was lying right away. Who's the liar, the housekeeper or the owner? The owner said he'd eaten a poison apple. So if it happened the day before, this apple must be brown now. But it's not. The man must have bitten into it just before calling the police. Gemma didn't notice this clue because she doesn't live on land. Rick and Gemma decided to have a picnic in a sunflower field. But something's wrong here. Can you tell what exactly? The wind is blowing the clouds to the right, but the sunflowers are swinging to the left. That's impossible. Gemma fell asleep in the field. When she woke up, Rick was gone. She looked around and saw an evil elf. He said, "I have put your boyfriend in jail, mermaid. If you want to see him again, solve my puzzle. I can be red, blue, purple, and green. No one can reach me, not even the queen. What am I?" Can you help Gemma save Rick? The correct answer is rainbow. The elf took Gemma to his secret lab. He said, "I've cloned your boyfriend so we don't need him anymore. Now you may take him home. Unfortunately, I don't remember which of them is the real Rick, but you know better." Can you help Gemma decide which of these guys is her Rick? This guy has 3 fingers. This Rick's teeth are too sharp for a human. This Rick lacks eyebrows, and this one has pointed ears. So this one is the only real human. The elf returned Rick to Gemma. The guys rushed away from his lab. It began to rain, and they decided to hide in an old, creepy castle. When they entered the building, they saw a beautiful fountain. That's when Rick and Gemma realized that they were not alone. There were many ghosts in this castle. Can you figure out the exact number? There are 7 ghosts in this picture. One of the ghosts is hiding inside the fountain. And the guy over there is not a ghost. He has feet and he's sweating. He's the owner of the castle. The owner showed Rick and Gemma his art collection. It contained an ancient and expensive item he was very proud of. "This is a picture created by a 16th century artist. I got it from my father, and he got it from his father too, and so on." But Rick didn't believe that the painting was original and called the castle owner a liar. Why? See this plastic cup? It couldn't exist in the 16th century. Well, it stopped raining and the guys decided to leave the castle. But the door had disappeared. The owner of the castle was very angry and offered them only 3 options to escape. There was a tunnel with a fire burning inside behind the first door. Dangerous, angry snakes were waiting behind the second door. And there was a portal leading to a black hole behind the third door. Which door should Gemma and Rick choose? The first door. They can put the fire out using the water from the fountain and vases from this shelf. Rick and Gemma went to the beach because the 24-hour spell was coming to an end. Gemma had to return to the Sea Kingdom. Suddenly, the Wicked Witch appeared out of nowhere and said, "You guys are so cute. I don't want you to be apart. If you manage to solve my riddle, I'll turn Gemma into a human for good. Here's your task. How to poke a balloon without popping it." What do you think? Rick cracked this riddle right away. What about you? The correct way to do it is by letting the air out of the balloon first. Gemma became a human. Rick was very glad and invited her to go on vacation right away. They arrived at the airport, but suddenly an elegant lady began to shout. Someone had snatched her super expensive bag. Rick reacted quickly. He detained 3 suspicious passengers who had been hanging around for the last hour. Rick and the airport security watched the footage from the cameras. Unfortunately, they could only find the footage of the events from 5 minutes before the theft. So, who's the criminal? It's the guy over there. The elderly woman's bag only looks bigger because she put her jacket inside. And the stolen bag wouldn't fit in this girl's purse. Gemma was living happily with Rick. But one day, she received this postcard from her mermaid sister. Gemma was horrified. She dropped everything and went back to the Sea Kingdom to save her sister. But when she got there, she saw that her sister was safe. How did she survive? See these theater curtains in the picture? It was a show for the inhabitants of the sea. Well, that figures. Wendy and her roommates at college decided to find jobs to earn some money for an epic trip to Asia on summer vacation. Wendy downloaded a special job search app. The app offered her to solve a riddle to prove she was human. Tomorrow, I'm sure here. Yesterday, I'm found as well. Today, I'm gone. What am I? Wendy gave her answer right away and passed the test. What did she say? The correct answer is the letter R. Wendy filled her profile and received 3 job offers right away. Josh needed help at his coffee shop because his barista went on vacation. Tricia was ready to give Wendy a job on her bee farm, and Dylan offered good money for washing his car. What job should Wendy choose? There's a flying cat at the bee farm, so it's probably not quite safe there. This car doesn't belong to Dylan. Take a look at the picture hanging on the wall of the gas station. This car is stolen, and Dylan is the thief. Wendy's best choice is the coffee shop. Wendy arrived at the coffee shop and saw something very weird right away. Can you see it too? There's a fish on the shelf with pastries. Wendy's new boss, Josh, said, "That was just a welcome prank to check how attentive you are." Josh gave her an apron and told her to get down to work. But Wendy gave him the apron back because she was sure that he was going to prank her again. Why? Take a look at the coffee shop logo and the logo on Josh's t-shirt. They don't match the logo on Wendy's apron. He challenged her attentiveness once again. A group of 6 students entered the coffee shop. Wendy was very nervous because they were her first clients. She asked, "What would you like to order?" The students decided to play a game with Wendy. The first guy showed her this pair of emojis, and Wendy cracked this puzzle right away. What did the guy order? A sandwich. Another guy showed Wendy these 2 emojis. Can you help her solve this? He ordered mashed potatoes. A shy student showed Wendy this combination. Can you crack it? He ordered fish fingers. And finally, the last student ordered this dish. Can you help Wendy figure it out? It's pepperoni pizza. 4 friends from that group of students ordered raspberry tea, but 2 remaining members of the group ordered different drinks. Rob took a glass of lemonade, and Rosie asked for a double espresso. The guys drank tea, and 5 minutes later, they got very sick and fainted. Wendy called the ambulance. She suspected that Rosie and Rob were behind this accident. So the girl asked them why they had ordered different drinks. Rob said he'd taken lemonade because he was allergic to blackberries. And Rosie said that she hadn't slept last night and needed a big dose of caffeine. Who's lying? Rob. He's allergic to blackberries, but the guys drank raspberry tea. At the end of her work shift, Wendy went to the coffee shop basement to check the supply of drinking water. Suddenly, the door slammed shut behind her back, and she had to find another way out. Wendy walked through a creepy tunnel and saw 3 doors. Behind the first door, there were powerful UV lamps. Behind the second door, angry dogs were waiting. And a tunnel behind the third door was on fire. What door should Wendy choose? The third one. She can take several large water bottles and put the flames out. Next day, Wendy got a task to deliver some books. When she arrived at the needed address, she saw a building with a metal door. The door was locked, but there was a note next to the combination lock. It said, Rose, Daisy, Aloe, and Sunflower. Can you help Wendy figure this passcode out? Here's a hint. One word on this list is different from the rest. Which one? Aloe. It's not a flower. Wendy entered the building. A cute old lady received the delivery. She offered Wendy extra tips if she managed to crack her riddle. A cloud is my mother. The wind is my father. My son is a cool stream. And my daughter is the fruit of the land. A rainbow is my bed, the earth my final resting place, and I'm the torment of man. What am I? Can you help Wendy earn some extra cash? The correct answer is rain. Wendy got a new task to organize a music concert in a jazz club. There, she met 6 musicians, and all of them had tattoos on their shoulders. They offered Wendy to guess who was the last one to join their group. Can you help her crack this puzzle? They used letters in alphabetical order, A, B, C, D, E. So, this drummer is the newest member of the band because his tattoo includes the letter F. Wendy's boss gave her an envelope with money and asked her to give it to Dan. Wendy asked, "But how can I recognize him?" The boss said Dan wore a red hat. Wendy entered the concert hall. It was full of people, and Wendy saw many guys in red hats. Can you count exactly how many? It's 8. But which of these guys is the real Dan? Nope, not this guy with Dan written on his t-shirt, and not this guy with Dan on his tattoo. The real Dan is over here. Look at his badge. It says Dan. The rest of the guys have different names on their badges. Early in the morning after the concert, Wendy drank a cup of coffee, felt unwell, and fainted. 10 minutes later, she woke up in a weird basement. 4 doors could lead her either to freedom or into a trap. Behind the first door, there were hungry bats. Behind the second door, there were rabid foxes. Behind the third door, there were venomous tarantulas. And behind the fourth door, there were venomous snakes. Which door should Wendy choose? She should choose the first door. Bats are nocturnal animals. They sleep in the morning. Next day, Wendy received a task from Shelley. She was the owner of a small art store and needed help with sorting paints by color. Unfortunately, Shelley's cat mixed them all up. Can you see any odd color among all these paints? Here it is. What about these tubes? Are they all similar? Nope. Paints number 2 and 6 are different. Can you help Wendy spot the odd color here? Paint number 1 is a little darker than the rest. What about this box? These colors are the same. Take a look inside this box. Are there any paints that don't belong here? Well, this color is slightly different. What about these paints? Are they all the same? Nope. Paints number 1 and 2 are different. And finally, this box. Can you see the paint that doesn't belong? Tube number 8 looks different. Wendy got a job as a supermarket manager. She assigned night shifts to Vicky and Fiona. They had to restock food at a 24-hour supermarket at the mall. At first, the girls were afraid to go through the dark and empty mall to get to the supermarket, but they got used to it after a while. Once, Wendy came over at 3 a.m. to check on them. She found the cash register open and empty. Wendy asked the 2 girls only one question. What were you doing when the robbery took place? Vicky said, the shelves with chips were almost empty, so I went to the warehouse to get some more. But someone had rearranged all the boxes. I had to look for the right one for about 15 minutes. When I came back, the money was already gone. Fiona said, I had already finished restocking my section, so I decided to go and do a little shopping in the mall. I didn't know what happened while I was away. Can you guess who the thief is? Fiona. The robbery happened at night. All the other shops were closed. How could she go shopping? When Fiona got exposed, she ran away from the supermarket. Wendy decided to carry out her own investigation. It turned out that Fiona had 4 friends. Wendy was sure that Fiona was hiding in one of their houses. Since Wendy didn't work for the police, she couldn't get a search warrant and visit them. But she could examine the guys' Instagram accounts. Let's look through their fresh posts. Have you guessed who's hiding Fiona? This guy is not alone. Take a look at this hand over there. Do you recognize Fiona's nail polish? Gotcha! Wendy received a bonus from the supermarket owner for her help in catching the criminal. Now she can afford to go to Asia. Solve this puzzle to find out which country she's going to visit first. That's right, it's China. And which country is she going to visit after traveling around China? Japan. And where will Wendy fly after that? To Singapore. Great job! Wendy arrived at the airport. Suddenly, airport guards locked the doors and she heard an announcement. Attention all passengers! A dangerous criminal has escaped and is hiding inside the building. Please keep calm and be careful. The airport will resume its operations as soon as we find him. Wendy decided to visit the ladies' room. As soon as she entered the restroom, she called airport security. Why? Take a look at this shadow. The criminal is hiding in the second cabin. The criminal was caught and Wendy could continue her adventure. The girl checked in and went to the gate. On the plane, a handsome guy named Chuck approached her. He said that she had taken his place. Wendy showed him her boarding pass and told him that he was wrong. But Chuck kept insisting. Who's right? It's Wendy. Wendy's seat number is 16I, and the guy's boarding pass has number 19I. He just looked at the number upside down. Kitty entered a bookstore to get some art supplies. At one point, she met an elf and accidentally stepped on his foot. Ow! The elf got very angry and teleported her to his fairy world. He said, "I'm Noah. Welcome to my world, you ill-mannered lady. If you can solve all my riddles, I'll help you find your way home. But if you don't, you'll turn into a tree and stay in this enchanted forest forever." So here comes the first riddle. Jen and Dobby have 4 daughters, and each of the daughters also has a brother. How many people are there in the family? Kitty cracked this riddle easily. What about you? The correct answer is 7. Noah took Kitty to the elf village. There they met Mr. Raspberry. He was very upset. Someone had stolen all berries from his trees. Noah suggested Kitty should find the thief. She questioned 4 suspects. Alice said, "I'm allergic to berries and stay away from them." Mia said that she'd been busy all morning helping her granny pick apples in her garden. Javier confessed that he had been on a secret date. He refused to reveal the name of his girlfriend. And Fiona said, "Are you kidding? I love my manicure too much to spoil it by picking berries." So, who's the thief? Alice. She's eating strawberry ice cream, which means she lied about her allergy. Next, Noah took Kitty for a walk through a magic field. There are 50 cows in this field and 28 chickens. How many didn't? Kitty figured this riddle out immediately. What about you? The correct answer is 30. It's a play on words. 20 cows ate chickens, which means that 30 cows didn't. The guy's next stop was a jewelry store. The local jeweler, Jonas, had just finished making a beautiful diamond necklace. He put it on the window so that everyone could admire his masterpiece and left for lunch. But when he returned, the necklace was gone. Surprise, surprise. Kitty questioned 3 suspects. The jeweler's assistant, David, said, "I was cleaning silver in the next room and didn't hear anyone enter the store." Billy, who owned a chocolate store 1 floor below, said, "I've spent the entire day with my wife. We've been celebrating our 15th anniversary." And Nina, the cleaning lady, said, "I've been cleaning the roof and singing when the crime happened. I didn't hear anything." Who's the thief? Billy. Look at his selfie with his wife. She's wearing the stolen necklace. Okay, but how did he steal it? He has a book, Magic Portals, on the shelf in his store. A postman found an elderly stargazer, Mr. Green, unconscious on the floor in his own house. Kitty questioned the key suspect, Mike. He was the only person who had been seen near Mr. Green's house the day before. Kitty asked him what he had been doing the previous night. Mike replied, "I spent the whole evening helping my friend to build a house. We finished late at night. I was passing by Mr. Green's house on my way home. I looked into the window and saw him lying on the floor. I was shocked and called the police." Kitty inspected the house and told the officer to arrest Mike. Why? Mr. Green was found on the ground floor, but his house doesn't have any ground floor windows, which means Mike couldn't see anything through the window. Noah took Kitty to his garden. He said that elf gardens were a little different compared to human ones. Kitty noticed 5 weird details right away. Can you see them too? It's snowing, but the flowers are blooming. The trees don't cast any shadows, but Kitty does. The rainbow in the sky is upside down. All squirrels are wearing suits. They usually don't do that in human forests. And this butterfly is talking on the phone. Noah invited Kitty for dinner, but they gotta cook it first. He gave Kitty an old recipe and said she could find all the ingredients in the garden. But the recipe is coded with the help of these symbols. Can you help Kitty find all the ingredients? Here comes the first one. It's a potato, and it's hiding over here. Here's the second ingredient. Olives. They're growing over there. What about this puzzle? Any ideas? Cabbage. It's over there. Can you recognize this one? Coconut. Here it is. The next one. Can you crack it? Pineapple. Great job. What about this puzzle? It's a carrot. And since it's an elf's garden, carrots are growing on trees. Can you crack this code? It's a peach, and Kitty can get it over there. Here comes the next ingredient. Any ideas? Pepper. It's over there. And last but not least, can you crack it? Broccoli. Great job! There's only one broccoli head in this garden, and it's hiding over there. After a delicious dinner, Noah offered Kitty to choose a guest room. He gave her 3 options, but only one of them was safe. Option number 1, a soft bed in the attic. Here's the second option, a cozy sofa in the basement. And the third option is a hammock on an open balcony. Unfortunately, mutant mosquitoes arrive every night. Their poison is safe for elves, but not for humans. Which room should Kitty choose? Springs stick out of the first bed. That doesn't look safe. And the sofa is full of bed bugs. Probably not the best company for a sleepover. So Kitty should choose the hammock. She can use this mosquito net to hide from the annoying insects. Next morning, Noah had an appointment. He offered Kitty to meet later in a fancy elf cafe. 4 waiters welcomed her when she arrived there, but one of them was fake. Can you guess who? See, this guy is a criminal. Noah was late, so Kitty ordered breakfast without him and went to the bathroom. The girl left her bag and her wallet on the table. Don't ask me why. When she came back, Noah was sitting at the table. Her food had arrived and her bag was still there, but the money was missing from her wallet. The restaurant security found 3 suspects. Noah said that he had just arrived. He hadn't seen anything suspicious. The waitress said, "I brought the food, but I didn't touch the wallet." The cleaner said that she'd wiped the table but hadn't touched the wallet. The guard found some fingerprints on the wallet, but they all belonged to Kitty. So, who stole the money? The cleaner. She had her gloves on. That's why she didn't leave any fingerprints. Kitty didn't have any elf money, so Noah offered to pay for her meal. But first, she had to crack this riddle. What begins with T, ends with T, and has T in it? Kitty solved this puzzle easily. What about you? The correct answer is a teapot. Kitty found a beautiful diamond tiara on the sink in the ladies' room while she was washing her hands. 3 elves showed up to claim it. Jim said, "This tiara belongs to my mother. We've been passing it on from generation to generation for ages. I noticed that it was gone after visiting the bathroom." Fiona said that she had won this tiara in a beauty contest. She even showed Kitty a picture. Jessica said, "If this tiara is missing one small emerald, then it's mine. I lost the gem at a party last summer." Kitty gave the tiara to Jessica. Why? Well, Jim wouldn't have been allowed in the ladies' room. The stones in Fiona's tiara are blue, not green, and Jessica was the only one who knew about the defect. Kitty entered an elf gift store to get some souvenirs for her family. 3 magic creatures entered the store after her. Everything was fine until, suddenly, Kitty heard a loud scream. She turned around and saw an elf lying face down on the table. She quickly called the police and reported the incident. An officer arrived and asked the other 3 customers what they'd been doing when they heard the scream. The goblin said, "I was picking out postcards from the front display." The mermaid was chasing the perfect souvenir mug. She dropped it when she screamed. The pieces were still on the floor. And the wizard said, "I was checking my horoscope on my phone. I'm a Venus by zodiac, you know. My astrologist promised that today would be the most peaceful day of my life." Yeah, right. Can you help Kitty find the criminal? It's the wizard. Venus isn't an astrological sign. The police arrested the wizard. He got so mad at Kitty that he turned her into a frog. Noah tried all the spells from his books, but nothing helped. So he took Kitty to the jail to beg for the wizard's help. There, Noah saw 2 prisoners. He knew for sure that only one of them would manage to escape. Ooh. The second one, he has a spoon without a handle. He must have used it to make a knife to open the door. The wizard agreed to lift his spell, but he had one condition. The guys had to crack his riddle. How many months of the year have 28 days? Can you help Kitty out? The correct answer is all of them. Noah took Kitty to the local magic store. Kitty asked him what he wanted to buy. Noah answered this way: "It's tall when it's young, and it's short when it's old. What is it? Have you guessed?" It's a candle. Noah lit the candle and prepared to send Kitty back to the human world. But he had one last riddle for her. Kitty had to say a secret number code to get home. Here's a hint. The code contains 3 positive numbers. You can either add these numbers or multiply them. The result will be the same. What are these numbers? The correct answer is 1, 2, and 3. Great job! That's it for today. So hey, if you pacified your curiosity, then give the video a like and share it with your friends. Or if you want more, just click